Is the global music world witnessing the birth of the purest achievement in modern history? Or is it instead standing on the edge of a dangerous imbalance that is slowly but surely changing the way popularity works? That question echoed loudly at the beginning of 2026, precisely when one name once again dominated conversations across platforms, across countries, and across generations: Jungkook. Not through a grand comeback, not through aggressive promotion, not even through a new chart-breaking release, but through something far more unsettling to the logic of the industry: absence. In the midst of a lack of new musical material, Jungkook was instead crowned the most popular artist at the start of 2026. A paradox too large to ignore, too significant to be celebrated without question. What is actually happening? How is it possible that an artist, without a new album since 2024 except for a single song titled "Never Let Go," was able to close 2025 with more than 1.1 billion streams on Spotify alone, then continue his dominance into early 2026 as if the laws of gravity in the music industry no longer applied to him? This is where unease begins to surface. For fans, this is absolute proof that Jungkook is not merely an idol, but a phenomenon. Yet for some observers, these numbers conceal a far deeper question. Is popularity still measured by creative output, or has it shifted into an untouchable collective force? The narrative of the year of Jungkook had in fact been unfolding since late 2025. On platform X, the euphoria felt almost ritualistic. Posts from fan accounts such as @Skookyberg spread widely, not only because of their emotional wording. "I'm excited for Jungkook 2026. It's gonna be another surprising Jungkook year. I can feel it." But because of the identity claims embedded within them: top soloist Jungkook, history maker Jungkook, global pop superstar Jungkook, these phrases were no longer mere praise but declarations. Statements that seemed to close the space for debate, implying that Jungkook's position had already moved beyond the stage of proof. Yet it is precisely there that the most shocking surprise lies. Jungkook's achievements in 2025 were not just impressive, they were anomalous. Without any new releases, he remained the most streamed male K-pop soloist of the entire year. Data shared by accounts such as @Rapperch and cited by various media outlets revealed numbers that were difficult to believe. More than 10 billion total streams on Spotify by November 2025, making him the first Korean solo artist to cross a statistical territory previously thought impossible without an active promotional cycle. That figure is not merely a record, it is a redefinition. Behind those numbers lies a detail that makes this dominance feel even more absolute. In the latest update on December 31, 2025, Jungkook recorded more than 6.23 million daily streams on Spotify, maintaining the #1 position as the most streamed male K-pop soloist for 58 consecutive days. Even on New Year's Eve, when public attention was fragmented by hundreds of releases and global celebrations, his name remained at the top. This consistency is not coincidence but a pattern that raises a further question. If he is already this unshakable without the push of new releases, what will happen when he truly returns? His solo debut album, Golden, released long before this peak of euphoria, also experienced a revival that was almost ironic. With an average of 4.44 million daily streams, the album once again claimed its position as the most streamed K-pop album by a male soloist. Songs such as Seven and Standing Next to You did not merely endure. They lived on in a new cycle sustained by the global ARMY community. This is not simply loyalty. It is a system that operates without pause in an industry context. This situation creates a dilemma that is rarely discussed openly. On one hand, Jungkook stands as the ultimate example of an artist who can stand alone amid the hiatus of a group as massive as BTS. He proves that the status of global superstar is not an empty label. On the other hand, his dominance raises darker and more sensitive questions. Is the space for other artists becoming increasingly narrow? When a single name dominates Spotify, Circle Chart, and YouTube Music simultaneously, even without new releases, what happens to artists who are still struggling to build their foundations? For 4 consecutive years, from 2022 to 2025, Jungkook has been recorded as the most streamed male K-pop soloist on Spotify. On Circle Chart, he has accumulated 7.1 billion streams, placing him 7th overall among K-pop artists. These figures are often celebrated as proof of his brilliance, yet they are rarely examined as a structural phenomenon. Jungkook's popularity is no longer just about music that people enjoy, but about a fandom ecosystem capable of sustaining momentum without conventional industry intervention. Then came early 2026 with one indisputable fact. Jungkook's total Spotify streams had reached 10,211,249,511, a number that stands like a monument, and at the same time casts a long shadow over other artists. Fans are encouraged to continue streaming, not merely to enjoy the music, but to preserve this symbolic position. Here, emotion blends with strategy, love blends with calculation. Thus, when Jungkook was crowned the most popular artist at the start of 2026, the music world seemed to split into two extreme reactions. Some saw it as the highest achievement of an artist in the digital era, proof that emotional connection with fans can overpower any marketing formula. Others, however, began to ask anxiously, is this a sign that the industry is moving toward an era where absolute dominance becomes the norm, and healthy competition is slowly eroded? Those questions have not yet found answers in this chapter. What is clear is that Jungkook's story at the beginning of 2026 is not merely a tale of popularity, but of a fundamental shift in how the world defines success. And if this is only the beginning, then the real surprise may still be waiting ahead. If the first chapter positioned Jungkook as a paradox, an artist who becomes increasingly untouchable precisely when he appears silent, then the second chapter of this story takes us into territory that is far more complex and, for some, far more unsettling. At this point, the question is no longer simply how Jungkook managed to achieve all of this, but what these achievements mean for a global music ecosystem that, for decades, has been built on principles of regeneration, competition, and the cyclical rise and fall of popularity. The history of the music industry, both in the West and in Asia, has always taught one unwritten rule: no peak is eternal. Even the greatest legends eventually experience a decline in attention, making room for new names to emerge. Yet what has happened to Jungkook in the period from 2024 to early 2026 appears to be a direct defiance of that rule. Without a new album, without a series of television promotions, without a world tour, his name has not merely endured, it has grown stronger. This dominance shows no sign of fatigue, as if it has transformed from a temporary phenomenon into a system that operates on its own. Data after data reinforces this impression. More than 6 million daily streams maintained consistently is not a number born from algorithmic coincidence. It is the result of massive interaction between a global fandom, the collective memory of already released songs, and Jungkook's image, which has become so deeply embedded that his presence feels constant, even when he is not actively present. This is where the industry begins to feel uneasy. When a single artist can maintain the peak without a supply of new works, does it mean that market demand has fundamentally changed? The album Golden has become an almost academic case study. Released as his solo debut, the album should have followed a normal life cycle. An initial spike, a gradual decline, then stabilization at lower numbers. What happened instead was the opposite. By the end of 2025, the album once again recorded an average of 4.44 million daily streams, outperforming new releases from other male K-pop soloists. This is not mere nostalgia, it is revitalization. The songs within it are no longer treated as old products, but as part of an identity that is continuously renewed by its listeners. This phenomenon has created a domino effect that is rarely discussed openly by labels or mainstream media. Other artists, especially male K-pop soloists in the early or middle stages of their careers, now operate within a much narrower landscape. Every new release must compete not only with other new works, but with Jungkook's catalog, which seems never to lose its appeal. In such conditions, the question that arises is no longer who is the best, but who still has room to be seen. The BTS hiatus, initially viewed as an opportunity for each member to shine individually, has instead further emphasized Jungkook's dominance. While other members have also recorded impressive achievements, Jungkook has gone further, placing himself in a zone that is almost unreachable by either internal or external comparison. Spotify Korea's 2025 Wrapped, which placed him at the top alongside Jimin and Jin, for example, was not read as healthy competition, But as proof that even among giants, Jungkook possesses a gravity of his own. On Platform X, this narrative is further reinforced. Fan accounts such as at Rapperchk, at JK97_Ace, and at Jeongoldenlight do not merely share numbers, they frame those numbers as arguments. Each streaming update is treated like a new chapter in an epic. When streaks of 56 days and then 58 days at the top of Spotify were announced, the response was not just celebration, but collective affirmation that this position is deserved and must be maintained. This is where the line between appreciation and militancy becomes blurred. For the industry, this situation raises a subtle alarm that has not yet sounded loudly, but is beginning to be heard. If a single fandom can keep an artist at the top for years without new releases, what are the implications for chart mechanisms that have long been assumed to dynamically reflect public taste? Do charts still serve as mirrors of broad public interest, or have they transformed into arenas of power for the most organized communities? Yet reducing the Jungkook phenomenon solely to the strength of fandom also feels unfair. There is another factor, more subtle yet no less important: artistic credibility. Songs like 7 and Standing Next to You are not only popular but cross-cultural. They are played in various countries, transcend language barriers, and live outside the K-pop context. This is what makes Jungkook's dominance feel different. He does not only win on home ground but also in a global arena that is far more competitive. Even so, this is precisely where the dilemma becomes sharper. When a single artist successfully combines global credibility with a nearly unshakable fandom base, the industry's balance is placed in a fragile position. New artists need visibility to grow, while algorithms tend to push what is already popular. In such conditions, Jungkook's dominance can be read as the highest achievement, but also as an indicator that the system itself may need to be re-evaluated. Early 2026 marks an unavoidable moment of reflection. Jungkook is crowned the most popular artist not merely because of his streaming numbers, but because of a consistency that challenges conventional definitions of normal. For fans, this is an emotional victory, proof that loyalty and love can defeat the industry's cycles. For other artists, it can feel like a long shadow that is difficult to leap over. And for the industry itself, it is an open question it has not yet dared to answer. Are we witnessing the highest peak of the existing system, or the beginning of a new imbalance? The answer to that question has not yet appeared in this chapter. But one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Jungkook's story at the beginning of 2026 is no longer about a single individual, but about how power, popularity, and collective emotion interact on a global scale. And as this story moves into the next chapter, its consequences may feel far more personal, far more emotional, and far more decisive for the future of popular music itself. To this point, Jungkook's narrative ceases to be a story about individual achievement and becomes a vast mirror reflecting the collective unease of the music industry. When early 2026 is de facto opened by the same name that has dominated previous years, a feeling emerges that is difficult to express openly: admiration intertwined with fear. Admiration because the world is witnessing one of the most consistent and influential careers in modern pop music history. Fear because that consistency is beginning to feel like dominance that closes off other possibilities. Jungkook is no longer merely a successful artist, but a standard that is almost impossible to replicate. His total Spotify streams surpassing 10.2 billion by early 2026 are not just numbers, but symbols of structural power. They show that popularity no longer depends entirely on release momentum, but on the depth of emotional bonds between an artist and listeners. In this context, Jungkook has transcended the traditional function of a musician. He has become a cultural entity that continues to live even in silence. Yet it is precisely here that the greatest paradox emerges. If one artist can maintain the peak without actively appearing, is the industry unconsciously moving toward an era of symbolic stagnation? An era where established names continue to circulate at the center of attention, while new ones struggle on the edges of algorithms? This question is rarely spoken aloud by labels or major platforms, but it is beginning to surface among creators and observers who see just how difficult it has become to break through dominance of this kind. For ARMY, this reality is understood differently, not as a threat but as a responsibility. Calls to continue streaming songs like 7, Standing Next to You, and the album Golden are not merely about numbers, but about keeping history alive. Within this emotional framework, Jungkook is not just a favorite artist, but a representation of a shared journey, of a collective identity built over many years. Each stream thus becomes a symbolic act, a statement of existence. For other artists, however, especially those building solo careers amid an increasingly crowded K-pop landscape, the situation feels far more complicated. They are not only competing with fellow newcomers, but also with Jungkook's catalog, which seems never to age. In such conditions, questions about the fairness of chart systems and the distribution of attention become increasingly relevant. Will the industry adapt, or will it allow this dominance to become the new norm? Interestingly, Jungkook himself is almost absent from this debate. There are no provocative statements, no claims of supremacy. His silence only strengthens the aura surrounding him. He becomes the center without needing to speak, a gravity that operates naturally. And perhaps this is where the most frightening yet most admirable power lies. Dominance that is not imposed but accepted. Thus, when the public asks whether Jungkook's crowning as the most popular artist of 2026 is an achievement or a warning alarm, the answer may be both. It is the pinnacle of what an artist can achieve in the digital era, and at the same time a reminder that the system enabling such a pinnacle needs to be re-examined. Jungkook is not the cause of the problem, if a problem indeed exists. He is the product of the system, of fandom, of algorithms, and of artistic quality that has proven timeless. Early 2026 may always be remembered as the moment when the music world paused and asked itself, are we celebrating the highest triumph of a superstar, or witnessing a permanent shift in how popularity works? The answer to that question is not yet final, but one thing is certain. The name Jungkook will remain at the center of that discussion, whether as inspiration, a benchmark, or a long shadow that continues to follow the industry wherever it goes.